Hey, you! Yes, you, the one who's exhausted from trying to make them see the truth. Let me save you years of frustration right now. Stop calling out the narcissist. It's not going to work. I know how tempting it is. You want to shake them, make them understand, make them accountable. You want them to say, "You're right, I was wrong." But guess what? That moment is never coming. And if you keep waiting for it, you'll waste years of your life chasing validation from someone who is incapable of giving it. Instead of calling them out, God calls you to do something way more powerful. He calls you to guard your heart, Proverbs 4:23. That means stop feeding the cycle. Stop engaging in the drama. Stop expecting someone who thrives on control to suddenly hand you an apology. You don't fight fire with fire. You starve it of oxygen. Silence is your greatest weapon. Boundaries are your greatest defense. Detachment is your greatest victory. But listen, this isn't about being passive. This is about power. Your power. Walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's choosing your peace over their validation. And I know it's hard. You want justice. You want them to feel what they put you through. But revenge? That's not your job. Romans 12:19 says, "Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath." Translation, let go, let God, move on. The greatest comeback, it's not proving them wrong. It's living so well that they have no access to your life. Silence is more powerful than words. That might sound counterintuitive, especially when everything in you wants to speak up, defend yourself, and make them see the truth. But when dealing with a narcissist, silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's power. It's the one thing they can't control. Because here's the thing, narcissists thrive on attention. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. As long as you're engaging, they're winning. When you argue with a narcissist, you think you're standing up for yourself, proving a point, or maybe even getting them to understand how much they've hurt you. But what's actually happening is that you're feeding their ego. Every word you say gives them more material to manipulate, twist, and use against you. They don't hear what you're saying. They only see an opportunity to drag you deeper into their game. They will provoke you, push your buttons, and play the victim just to get a reaction. And the moment you react, they win. But silence, that's something they can't twist. They can't argue with what you don't say. They can't manipulate words that were never spoken. Silence robs them of the reaction they're so desperately seeking. It forces them to sit with themselves, to feel the emptiness of not having control over you. It makes them uncomfortable. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. When you stop engaging, you shift the dynamic. You are no longer a participant in their toxic game. You no longer give them the power to dictate how you feel or how you respond. And that terrifies them. Because narcissists don't just want attention, they need it. It's like oxygen to them. Without it, they start to lose their grip. Now, let's be real. Choosing silence isn't easy. Everything in you will want to respond, explain, defend, and prove your side of the story. You'll feel the urge to correct their lies, to expose them, to make them see what they're doing. But that urge, that's your emotional attachment talking. That's the part of you that still hopes they will change, that still believes if you just say the right thing, they'll finally get it, but they won't. And every time you engage, you're just giving them another opportunity to manipulate the situation. When you choose silence, you are choosing yourself. You are choosing peace over drama, clarity over confusion, and strength over reaction. And that is where real power lies. Because the strongest people are not the ones who fight every battle. They're the ones who know when to walk away. A narcissist's worst fear is losing control over you. The moment they realize they can't provoke you anymore, they panic. They might lash out, try to bait you back in, or even pretend to change just to get you to re-engage. But don't fall for it. Silence isn't just about refusing to speak. It's about refusing to give them access to your emotions. It's about showing them through your lack of response that you are no longer under their control. And here's the best part. Silence speaks volumes. It tells them that their words no longer affect you. It tells them that their power over you is gone. It tells them that you are moving on, healing, and becoming stronger without them. And that is the ultimate victory. Setting firm boundaries, not arguments, is how you truly protect yourself from a narcissist. It's easy to think that if you just explain yourself enough, if you just lay out the facts clearly, or if you just make them see how much their actions are hurting you, they will finally change. But they won't. Because narcissists aren't interested in understanding your point of view. They aren't looking for fairness, compromise, or mutual respect. They are looking for control, and every argument you engage in gives them more of it. Boundaries, on the other hand, take that control away. They shift the focus from trying to change them to protecting yourself. A narcissist doesn't respect your words, but they will recognize when they no longer have access to your energy. That's why boundaries are so powerful. They aren't about changing the narcissist. They're about changing how much power they have over you. The mistake most people make is thinking that a boundary is something you say. It's not. It's something you do. Telling a narcissist, you need to stop treating me this way, won't work. They'll gaslight you, deny it, or promise to change just to get you to stay in the cycle. But actually removing yourself from situations where they mistreat you, that's a boundary. Blocking their number after they've crossed the line one too many times, that's a boundary. Walking away instead of engaging in another pointless argument, that's a boundary. The key is understanding that boundaries are not about controlling the narcissist's behavior. They're about controlling your own. You can't stop them from lying, manipulating, or being toxic, but you can control how much access they have to your life. You can choose to limit your conversations, refuse to engage in their drama, and remove yourself from situations where they try to provoke you. And when you do that, they lose their power. At first, they will test you. They will push against your boundaries, try to guilt trip you, or make you feel like you're the bad person for pulling away. They will try every tactic they've used before, playing the victim, love bombing you, making false promises, because they want to pull you back into the dynamic where they had control. But the difference now is that you don't take the bait. You don't explain, argue, or justify. You just stand firm. This is where most people struggle, because when you set a boundary with a narcissist, they will not respect it. They will try to cross it again and again, and it's up to you to enforce it. This means sticking to your decision no matter how much they push back. It means not answering their late-night texts when they suddenly miss you. It means not engaging when they try to provoke a reaction. It means reminding yourself that their opinion of you does not define you. And here's the reality. Setting boundaries will feel uncomfortable at first. If you've spent years trying to keep the peace, trying to explain yourself, trying to get them to understand, then walking away will feel foreign. It will feel like you're doing something wrong. But you're not. You're doing something necessary, because boundaries are not mean. They are not cruel. They are an act of self-respect. They are a way of telling yourself that you deserve to be treated with kindness, with dignity, and with love. And if someone refuses to give you that, then you have every right to remove yourself from their reach. That is your power. That is your strength. And that is how you finally free yourself. God calls you to guard your heart, and that means protecting yourself from the emotional and spiritual damage that a narcissist can cause. It's natural to want to see the good in people, to believe that if you love them enough, support them enough, or explain things in the right way, they will change. But Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart. For everything you do flows from it. That is not just a suggestion, it's a command. It means that your heart is precious, your peace is valuable, and you are responsible for protecting it from those who seek to harm or manipulate you. A narcissist doesn't just hurt you in obvious ways. The real damage happens slowly, over time, as they chip away at your confidence, twist your perception of reality, and make you question your own worth. You may not even realize it at first, but every time they gaslight you, every time they make you feel small, every time they take without giving, they are hardening your heart in ways you were never meant to experience. And that is why God tells you to guard it. Because he knows that if you allow someone toxic to have unlimited access to your emotions, they will drain you, weaken you, and distance you from the peace he has for you. Guarding your heart doesn't mean shutting people out completely or refusing to trust again. It means using discernment. It means recognizing that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. It means understanding that love without boundaries is not love. It's self-sacrifice. And while God calls you to love others, he never calls you to be a doormat. The enemy works through deception, and one of his greatest tactics is to use people, especially narcissists, to keep you stuck in cycles of confusion and pain. They will make you feel guilty for pulling away. They will use your kindness against you, convincing you that if you were really a good person, you would keep forgiving them, keep tolerating the mistreatment, keep giving them chance after chance. But there is a difference between forgiveness and access. God calls you to forgive, but he does not call you to repeatedly expose yourself to harm. Jesus himself walked away from people who refused to listen, who mocked him, who were toxic. He didn't chase them down. He didn't waste time trying to convince them of his worth. And if he, the Son of God, knew when to walk away, so should you. A narcissist wants full control over your heart. They want to dictate how you feel, how you think, and how you react. But when you guard your heart, you take that control away from them and place it back in God's hands. You choose to focus on what he says about you, not what they say. You choose to protect your peace instead of chasing after their approval. You choose to remove yourself from toxic situations instead of hoping they will magically change. The more you guard your heart, the more clarity you gain. You start to see the manipulation for what it is. You start to recognize that their love was conditional, transactional, and rooted in control. And most importantly, you begin to heal. Because when you stop allowing a narcissist to dictate your emotions, you create space for God to restore you, to rebuild your confidence, and to remind you of who you truly are. So don't waste your energy trying to make a narcissist see your worth. They won't, not because you're not worthy, but because they were never capable of seeing beyond themselves. Guard your heart, trust God, and watch how your life begins to change when you finally put your peace above their validation. Let your actions speak, not your emotions. When dealing with a narcissist, reacting emotionally is exactly what they want. They thrive on drama, on pushing your buttons, on making you so frustrated that you explode. Because the moment you react, they have control. They can twist your words, make you seem irrational, and shift the blame onto you. That's why one of the most powerful things you can do is stop giving them that reaction. Instead of arguing, explaining, or proving your worth, show them through your actions that they no longer have the power to affect you. A narcissist's greatest weapon is their ability to manipulate emotions. They will bait you into an argument, insult you just to get a rise out of you, or play the victim to make you feel guilty. And every time you respond emotionally, they win. Because now, instead of focusing on their toxic behavior, the focus is on your reaction. Suddenly, you're the problem. You're the one who's too sensitive, too emotional, or overreacting. And before you know it, the conversation shifts away from what they did wrong and turns into them making you question yourself. But when you refuse to engage, when you stop explaining yourself, stop defending yourself, and stop reacting the way they expect, that's when everything changes. Because narcissists don't know what to do when they lose control over your emotions. They expect you to yell, to cry, to beg for their validation. But when you remain calm, when you walk away instead of arguing, when you enforce boundaries without needing to explain yourself, that's when they start to lose their grip on you. This isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't care. It's about understanding that your emotions are valuable and they shouldn't be wasted on someone who only uses them against you. Your energy is precious. Your peace is sacred. And when you constantly engage in battles with a narcissist, you are handing over both. That's why the best response is no response at all. Not because you don't have anything to say, but because you've realized they're not worth the effort. You can't argue someone into respecting you. You can't make a narcissist see your worth through words alone. They don't listen to words. They respond to consequences. And that's where your actions come in. You show them you're done not by telling them, but by walking away. You show them you're no longer under their control by refusing to engage. You show them they can't manipulate you anymore by staying calm when they try to provoke you. And most importantly, you show yourself that you are stronger than their games. They will push harder. They will do everything in their power to get a reaction out of you. They will try to guilt trip you, provoke you, or even suddenly act nice to lure you back in. But this is the moment where you need to stand firm, because once they realize their old tactics don't work anymore, they will either escalate or move on. And either way, you win because you are no longer at their mercy. Letting your actions speak is the ultimate way to take back your power. It shows that you no longer need their approval, that you are no longer controlled by their mind games, and that you are choosing yourself over their manipulation. And that is the kind of strength they can't handle. So instead of explaining, instead of reacting, instead of proving your worth, just live your life, move forward, be happy. Because nothing will make a narcissist more powerless than realizing they can no longer affect you. Healing starts when you stop expecting closure. One of the hardest things to accept after dealing with a narcissist is that you may never get the apology, the acknowledgement, or the validation you're looking for. You may never hear them say, "I'm sorry for what I did to you." You may never see them admit their lies, their manipulation, or the way they twisted reality to suit their own needs. And that's painful because deep down, you want them to understand the damage they caused. You want them to see the truth. You want them to take responsibility. But the truth is, narcissists don't do closure. They don't reflect. They don't apologize sincerely, and they don't change. Waiting for closure from a narcissist is like waiting for someone who broke you to be the one to fix you. It keeps you trapped, holding on to the hope that one day they'll wake up and finally see things the way you do. But they won't. Not because you don't deserve an apology, but because they aren't capable of giving you one. To them, admitting fault means losing control, and control is what they live for. That's why they rewrite history, deny things they said and did, and make you feel like the crazy one. They need to be right at all costs, even if it means destroying you in the process. This is why your healing cannot depend on them. If you keep waiting for closure, you are giving them power over your peace. You are keeping yourself tied to the very person who hurt you. And the longer you wait, the more energy you waste on something that will never come. True healing starts the moment you decide to give yourself the closure they never will. It starts when you stop waiting for their acknowledgement and start validating your own experience. You don't need them to confirm what happened. You know what happened. You don't need them to admit their wrongdoing. You saw it with your own eyes. You don't need their apology to heal, because healing is something you do for yourself, not something you get from someone else. Letting go of the need for closure doesn't mean pretending the pain didn't happen. It means accepting that the answers you're searching for won't come from them. It means shifting your focus from trying to understand why they did what they did to understanding how you can move forward despite it. It means realizing that closure isn't something someone else gives you. It's a decision you make. One of the most freeing things you can do is stop looking to a narcissist for anything: answers, validation, justice. The moment you let go of that expectation, you take back your power. You stop replaying conversations in your head, trying to figure out what you could have said differently. You stop searching for signs that they regret what they did. You stop waiting for the day they come back and admit you were right all along. Instead, you shift your focus to yourself, to your healing, your growth, your peace. You don't need an apology to move on. You don't need an explanation to let go. You don't need them to see your worth to know that you are worthy. The closure you've been waiting for, it's already within you. It happens when you decide to stop looking back. It happens when you choose yourself over the need for validation. It happens when you realize that their inability to give you closure says everything about them and nothing about you. Healing isn't about making them see the truth. It's about finally seeing it yourself and knowing that you deserve better. God will handle what you can't. When you've dealt with a narcissist, whether it's a partner, a family member, a friend, or even a boss, you've likely spent so much time trying to make sense of the chaos they create. You've tried to reason with them, tried to show them how much they've hurt you, tried to get them to change, but nothing works. The more you try, the deeper you get pulled into their manipulation, their lies, and their toxic cycles. And at some point, you reach a place where you have nothing left to give. That's where God steps in. The Bible makes it clear, do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, it is mine to avenge. I will repay, says the Lord. Romans 12:19. That's not just a suggestion. That's a promise. God sees everything. He sees the nights you cried yourself to sleep. He sees the way they twisted the truth to make you look like the bad guy. He sees the silent battles you fought, the pain they caused, and the injustice of it all. And he is not blind to it. The justice you're seeking, the accountability you want them to face, that is God's job, not yours. When you stop trying to control the outcome and instead surrender it to God, something shifts. You no longer carry the weight of making things right. You let God handle it. And here's the truth. His justice is far greater than anything you could ever orchestrate. You may never see it happen the way you expect, but trust that no one escapes the consequences of their actions. A narcissist may fool people for a while. They may continue lying, manipulating, and acting like they did nothing wrong. But eventually, everything catches up. Their own actions will be their downfall, because what is done in darkness always comes to light. Letting God handle it doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you stop trying to fight battles that were never yours to begin with. It means you focus on healing instead of seeking revenge. It means you choose peace over proving a point. The most powerful thing you can do is remove yourself from their reach. Let go of the need for justice on your terms and trust that God sees what you cannot. There will be moments when it feels unfair, moments when you wonder why they seem to be thriving while you're still trying to put the pieces of your life back together. But don't be deceived. What looks like success on the outside doesn't mean peace on the inside. A narcissist's life is built on lies, and eventually that foundation will crumble. They may get away with things for a while, but they will never escape the consequences of their own emptiness. Your job is not to make them see their wrongs. Your job is not to make them understand how deeply they hurt you. Your job is to heal, to reclaim your joy, and to walk in the peace that comes from knowing God is in control. Because when you do that, you take away the last piece of power they have over you. The real victory isn't in seeing them suffer. It's in knowing that you are free from their manipulation, free from their toxicity, free from the constant battle of trying to get them to change. God is your defender. He will handle what you cannot. Trust him. Move forward and watch how he restores everything that was stolen from you. The most powerful thing you can do when dealing with a narcissist is to stop fighting battles that were never meant to be yours. You don't need to expose them, change them, or make them see your worth. Instead, you set boundaries, guard your heart, let your actions speak louder than your emotions, and most importantly, trust that God will handle what you cannot. Closure won't come from them. It comes from within. Justice isn't yours to seek. It's in God's hands. Healing doesn't happen when they finally admit their wrongs. It happens when you stop needing them to. The moment you shift your focus from them to yourself, you take back your power. You are no longer controlled by their words, their manipulation, or their attempts to break you. God calls you to live in peace, not in cycles of toxicity. And that means choosing to walk away, choosing to heal, and choosing to trust that he will restore what was lost. You are stronger than their lies, bigger than their mind games, and worthy of the love, respect, and peace that they could never give you. So let them go. Move forward. Because the best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's living a life so full of joy, freedom, and faith that they no longer have any control over you.